Welcome to this walkthrough playthrough guide. Now, we're going to go through the first 3 chapters in this video, and then obviously throughout the campaign in other videos, but these first 3 chapters is where it all is really. Now, there are a few things you must understand and do to survive. These aren't, it's in your best interest, you must do these. First, always pick defense over offense. There'll come a time where you'll feel like your defense is fine and you'll start picking offense. Your weapon is the only thing you pick offense over defense. Resistance in this game is no joke. Physical resistance, armor, and the rest of the resistances that are elemental, the poison, void, and necro really matter in this game. If there's one thing you focus on, make it the resistances and then armor. Even if you're going to be ward, like this particular character will be ward based, which is like energy shield in other games. But the armor base on gear is hugely important. You keep upgrading your gear based on the armor value, and then after the armor value, the resistance and the defense. The weapon you can do offense, as I said, but do take that away. Resistances and then armor and physical resistance is very important, even if it's something that you should be able to take. It's different to other games. This is not where you can slack on. Physical resistance, elemental. By the end of these 3 chapters, you want to try to have as high a amount as possible. Other things you can do to increase it, but we get into that just so we're not overcomplicated. Now, as you have seen, I've just gone through the first little area. It's fairly easy. Just learn your character's basis and try to get at least level 2. The NPC you run into here, very important for this area, Gravel. You can use him to take out all the enemies, or at least freeze them if you are inclined to attack them yourself. Now, all you have to do is engage with the enemy and then pull back and let him do his thing. Now, I have a range attack, so if you're range, you can stand back and do whatever you want because other things will run forward and engage. If you're melee, you might want to stand back until he freezes and then go to work. You get XP for his kills. Just keep that in mind. This guy, this is actually why I did this offline. I lagged out like crazy and I was offline. There's some issues with some of the spawning type stuff sometimes. But this guy you're going to have to get used to learn how to fight. Pretty much keep him at distance. He creates a circle around him, run. Creates a circle on the ground, get out of it. Fairly simple, but it does take some time to get used to him. But you'll have plenty of chance because 3 to 4 times you'll have to fight him just in the first chapter. Now, while we're at the shop, you're looking for movement speed or just general upgrades. They cost virtually nothing for gear because it's not all that awesome gear from the traders, but when you have nothing, anything is awesome. Talk to the peoples and head on to the back bit where we really start getting into the game. This area is pretty much, if you survive this, you have a grasp of the game. Now the back right corner, as we are looking at the screen now, is going to have a chest always. It'll have a personal item, which is generally rubbish, but it's just one of the items in the game that you got to get used to. This chest, personal item, and other goodies sometimes can have some good stuff. Now, the gold spear is the personal item. Gold writing on the affix will tell you. Now, as you can see, I got no fire res, and fire res is important for the next area. Why? Because everything you face will shoot you with fire or have some sort of fire attack, pretty much. Now, if you're going to choose a character, do choose either a character you have seen play, but if you're going complete blind, then you're probably not watching this playthrough completely. Okay, you're not going blind if you're watching this. So, go range, or a character which you can do range with, as in the Necro. Well, Acolyte, as it's called in this. And the Sentinel is a good armor stacker. This guy is very annoying because of his Phoenix. Now, I do get a little bit of a leeway with my minions. That's why it's good to have minions, especially during the campaign. You'll find it very handy to be playing a minion build. Now, they do take 50% less damage to all creatures, so they are actually tankier than you, which is also a positive. And then he'll drop good stuff, bad stuff, just random RNG. Get the waypoint. It's important to get all the waypoints that you can. You can instant travel just by pushing the map, which default is M, but I like clicking on the waypoints because I don't necessarily trust that they're going to automatically do. And you see the barrels can drop good stuff. Now this storeroom, you go through, fight their little enemies. I'll skip ahead a little bit here, but pretty much you run through, stuff falls down or comes out of area, and you'll see our old friend is back. This guy's a little more annoying in a closed area like this, but you keep him at distance, he'll move to you, you move away, and you just play the little game. Don't be afraid to heal. It's not like other games where you need to judge your heals. Heal if you hit probably quarter to half of your life gone. And you can see you just pick up whatever you can so you can sell, try to get something off the trader, knock over the piece of armor, and that's the whole point of why we're in here, because we get a passive point for doing that. Level up early, more than you need, is always better than just running through, because characters generally have a little stale point once you reach about level 15. So the higher you get, the easier it will be to get the character going. As you can see, this is the third time we've had to fight this guy. And then he's got his little friends. But yeah, you got to get used to him. You'll come into him countless times. Here, I always click on him and then run. You don't have to fight the boss that turns up. You can just keep on running. Now, depending on your character, your movement speed, your everything like that, what you've picked up, you can just keep running if you want, or you can just get out of that area and attack as you go. One important thing, once you get out, make sure that old man is following you. There is times where he's bugged and he doesn't follow and you cannot continue. So go back inside, come back out, he should reset. Now, instead of talking to that person, there is a chest always spawns over here. It's pretty good for some extra loot. Then go talk to that guy. I skip what happens just so you can learn. And then talk to the peoples. Work through the area until you reach the summit. Now, as you can see, my fire res is terrible once again. Now, this guy does a lot of AoE, so Staying back, you'll have to keep moving. Staying forward, he's got swipes, but they're generally easy, and once the dodge roll comes in the 1.1, it should be even easier. Now, it looks scarier than it is. If you've got fire res, you'll have no trouble. If you're a sentinel, you'll probably go through this fight a lot easier than I do. And as you can see, I'm just keep my distance. Whenever he wants to try to blow something up, I just keep running. Generally, if you're on the move, you're all good. And then I slightly off-screen him, but we come back, and that is chapter 1. Now you should ideally try to have your fire res at least about 30, 35. When you get into here, void res will be important, and try to get that to about 30, 35. 75 is cap, but obviously you can't be guaranteed to cap straight up. So you want void, lightning, and fire. After these 2 chapters, that's what you're focused on. And these guys are very annoying early on because they do a large amount of damage in their attacks. But you're just pretty much introduced to the creatures, and then you run through to the next area. It's like sort of, here's what you got to verse. How do you feel about it? Now, most of this area you run through, but talk to this guy. This is one of the side quests you do not skip. It takes you a little bit out of your way, but he does give you the passive points for it. So go talk to the 3 people that are at the markers. They are on your map. They're not hidden. Then we end up talking to this old man. You got to, a lot of these fights, you got to clear out a bunch of trash, and they slightly build up to more harder creatures, and then you fight a boss or a mini boss or some sort of elite. As you see, more trash coming out. Just keep taking it out. If need be, just run backwards and try to make distance. But this, if you are a range character, you can use the old guy as a barrier. You stand behind and you just attack, or a minion, he attacks your minions. Melee, you're going to have to go up and punch him in the face. Now, these council chambers, you'll be at a lot. You can talk to all the peoples, it doesn't really matter. This gambler guy isn't really worth it, but you can sell things to him. So, save your money, don't gamble. The first thing you do in here is go through and go into the library. The library is what you do first always. Don't skip it. There's no point to skip it. It takes 2 seconds. And it is always in the same spot. It is at the top corner where you can see the marker. You fight your way through. There's a little bit of a fake elite, but you just take him out. Now, we go up the stairs. The shrine that is to our left or right, to our right as we were running. It can be anything. It can also be an exile mage, which you do not click pretty much ever, really. There's only a couple of drops they can give you that actually are worth it, so pretty much never click something called an exiled mage. They're not worth it. They're harder than most of the bosses. Early game. This is your first real boss fight in the second chapter. These 3 do the exact same thing, just at a random interval. Pick on one, dodge the attacks, but just stay on one and attack. If you got minions, they do whatever they want. You can control them with A, but just pick on one and just keep out of that fire beam and the lightning ball, like cage thing, this thing. Those are the 2 attacks you really don't want to stand in. Otherwise, it all depends on how strong you are as a character, how much damage you do. But you bully each one as you go. And when they're in the little blue phasey bit and just like kneeling, you go to town on them. You unleash everything you got. If you run out of mana doing it, you run out of mana. Just unleash on them when they are in that phase, because they are not attacking. As you can see, he's doing his little ball, range attack, I can attack him. Melee, you will have to wait. It does do a lot of damage, so stay out of it. My little minions, I can resummon them as long as I got mana, so I can put them in danger as much as I want. That's another bonus for minions. As you can see, random amount drops, but that library quest gives you this guaranteed. So if you think that is a good drop for you, then keep them, otherwise you can sell them. Now this guy is pretty much just a roadblock. Try not to get hit by the creatures coming in and that beam. For the most part, that is the only danger. You just keep attacking. This is purely to show you the rift system, which is here. And this, all you have to do is run from one side to the other. It's a bit of a, yeah, whatever. But it's to show you that rifts exist and that you should interact with them. You'll have to interact with at least 2 more to actually get some side quests done, which give you rewards. And then we pop back out and get the waypoint. Now, if something goes wrong and you don't get the waypoint, you'll have to run through the whole area again. It has happened a couple of times. That's why I mention it. It is very annoying, and you'll have to fight that guy again. You log out, log back in, you'll have to fight whatever you run through. Now this, you can't really run through unless you have been lucky early on. So you'll have to fight your way through, but you're virtually just fighting or running. Don't take these guys on, go in that room. I'm fighting them because I'm making content, but these guys can kill you quite easy. They can get some modifiers like crit damage, one's got extra damage, and they really do hurt, especially early on when you don't have armor and fizz resistance. So do just go through that door that is behind, because there's no point taking on these guys because they don't really drop anything special. That relic actually came from a box, not actually the creatures. As you can see, I got the affixes and all that in my inventory. That is important that you pick up every single affix. An affix is obviously like the resistances and all that. They'll drop, you pick them up, you transfer materials, and you store them for good. This guy is annoying, but he just spits fire and slams, and you just run around and take him out. But this guy unlocks crafting. Crafting is one of the biggest powers throughout the campaign. You do not need to go to a crafting terminal once you unlock crafting. You just push F. You can upgrade your gear in the middle of a fight if you want to. And always upgrade your defenses whenever you can. It is obviously resistance first, but if you have the resistances, then bump them up. Obviously there's a leeway where you'll learn, where you can get through a little bit and then upgrade the gear to better gear and keep the affixes. But early on, just upgrade whenever you can. This guy is annoying because you start doing damage, he teleports or he shields himself. And there's only really one attack that you need to stay away that you haven't seen before. And the other attack you need to stay away from is the lightning sphere that the Panian students had. This guy's wind attack doesn't do much. That can do some damage, so I'd move depending on resistances and all that. That lightning ball, just as deadly. You don't want to hang in there. And then there's one other attack, which is a fire attack, and he spins around in 360. you technically only have to go just past where it starts to actually avoid it. And you can see he's just doing a bunch of attacks, rocks falling down. The rocks from the ceiling actually do hurt a lot without physical damage. Fizz resistance. It does physical damage. And you can see he scoots around. This one, where it starts is where it stops. So you just need to run just past where it starts. And then that's pretty much the whole fight. You run around, you dodge stuff, you kill him. And then he dropped a belt. Apart from one unique I found in this playthrough, I've sold. And then you go through the rift, you come up here, and this is very, 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 very important. Know which mastery you're going to take before you take it. There is 3 options per character, and what you don't want to do is just close your eyes, spin your mouse around, and try to click on one. You really do need to think about what character you want to create. This is where, if you haven't looked at anything, do look at least the base principle of what those masteries do for you, because it will ruin your play if you can't decide the right one. This is the run through to 3, but huge amounts of poison, and you probably don't have much poison, if any poison resistance. As you can see, I am just running. These big guys are following me. What I do is slightly silly. I keep stopping and try to fight, and I keep regretting it because the big guys follow you until they kill you. Fortunately for me, they didn't, but as you can see, they are relentless, and you'll get through. Just in case you are wondering, yes, you could end up dead if you're playing online. There is a real risk of dying trying to get through the next zone, so keep that in mind. Now, chapter 3 is pretty much go everywhere else type play. You run through, you take care of something somewhere, come back, and it's quite an annoying little chapter, but it does give you some side quests that are rewarding. The void will start taking its toll on you if you haven't focused on your resistances, so if you are dying or almost dying, do look at your resistances. But it's a general run to the door. This camp is important, this sort of main hub. So we're there. We talk to these 2. The shop is only available for half of this little bit. So if you want the shop, you got to use the shop before you complete these first 2 tasks. This one is probably the most dangerous of the 2. You got to take out these guys and get the waypoint. Is important to get because you'll have to come back here later, but you will have to go through a lot of creatures to actually get that waypoint. Now, it will be quite easy to go, ooh, I'm not getting it. It is very useful and handy to actually get it now, and it will save you heaps of time later on. These void horrors, they're not as bad as they used to be. They used to be pretty much one shot kill you all the time, regardless of how strong your character was. But they have been toned down. You get a little reward, but you don't have to take out the 3 of them for the quest line. You generally end up taking them out because they try to kill kill you. These big guys, they are not fun to mess around with because, or the other sort of big guy that was chasing me, but the big guys do belly flops on you, they do AoE explosions, and then you got to deal with that whilst dealing with everything else. They're not fun, they do a lot of damage, and you want to try to avoid just standing in front of them. And as you can see, I'm trying to get to the waypoint, but I can't. But go back, fight, go back, fight. If anything, it is a game that rewards sort of retreating to go forwards. And once you got the waypoint, go on to the actual quest door. This is a bit of a annoying quest a little bit, but you need to go talk to a skeleton guy, and then once you talk to the skeleton guy, you need to destroy 3 soul canisters or whatever they're called. It's pretty much a mechanic to teach you for later in the game. So it's a way to keep you doing quests, but also teaches you a later mechanic that they use in the first monolith boss. Now, the thing there, the soul repository. If you have a range like a marksman, you can attack it off screen, and once the task updates, you know you got it destroyed. You destroy all 3 of them, you talk to the skeleton again. He'll go in a big puff of smoke, just run through him. This is one of the buggiest doors. You got to try to perfectly click on the door. It's very annoying. It needs a bigger hitbox, really. But I guess people might be able to glitch through it without doing the quest. Now, this is the second door that was to the south. This is dangerous only because of the close surroundings. Otherwise, if you got through the first bit, you get through this bit, usually. There are things that pop out of the void water. You can kill them, but they'll always come back. You can't get rid of them permanently. And as you can see, you can quickly get surrounded. Just keep moving, attacking, doing whatever you can to just not get trapped. Talk to this guy that's pinned up. This centipede can only damage you if you're standing in front of it. So if you have the ability, get to its back and just keep moving around it, because it cannot attack anywhere but its front. And after you attack it, go back to the hanging guy. It'll give you the quest thing, and then you go back to the camp. Talk to the cultists and go on through, and this is the first boss of chapter 3, really. This guy is fairly boring in his attacks, but he can do a lot of damage. This beam, do not want to stand in front of it for obvious reasons. He does do little lightning orb balls like that, and he spits out reinforcements. And you pretty much just run around trying to do damage to everything, and eventually you work your way down. As you can see, he comes down quite easily. He doesn't have that bigger health pool. The more annoying thing is the creatures he spawns, because sometimes you gotta take care of them before you take care of the boss. But that's pretty much halfway of chapter 3, and then you run on through. This is a side quest. You run all the way through to the next area. Just keep following the task, but then you want to click on this book. That gets you passive points. Then go back to the waypoint that you started at. You go into the ancient forest. Another side quest. As I said, this is a chapter where you're going elsewhere to get things done. Now, the whole point of this is find a dragon. The dragon's not that difficult, but the creatures you get to go through to get it can be a little annoying. These are little raptors, and they're stompy, cranky flowers, but this dragon spits. He shakes his back and does AoE damage, and he also explodes. Pretty much just run through the area as they explode, you should be fine. And then just keep moving. That's the AoE boom explodey. It does do some damage, so ideally you just get out. If you are a range attack, he will come walking towards you. Now, every time you have done that, you've gone back to the waypoint, which means they all spawn again. And then you got to fight all your way through to the next area, next area, next area. It's quite a headache to actually do, because you know all you're doing is either getting levels or you're fighting trash mobs just to get through to the actual main part of chapter 3. Now, this big guy has like 2 attacks. He should be easy regardless of experience. Pretty much the little orbs try to get you, and then he slams the ground and have an ace of it. The most dangerous part is actually the 20-30 creatures that come and try to kill you. Get the waypoint after this guy, regardless of how much you want to go to town. You do not want to miss this waypoint. You want to go through, get the waypoint, and then go to town. Because you'll just have to fight all those creatures again and fight the big guardian. The little trash mobs do come up and get you stuck, so you'll have to stop at some points to actually fight. It's a way to slow you down probably, but in general you should be fine. Then you go through, get the waypoint. As I said, you can go back down or whatever you want. Then this guy, the map might not look like it connects, but this is the way. You got to fight him, pretty much stay close to him, he can't really do much damage. And then the way opens, and then you can go to that area which is blocked off. More trash mobs between you and where you want to go. It's just how things are. Now, the whole point of the next area is to go find that chest, to go through that rift. And once you're in this rift, guess what you got to do? You got to click on that chest to go back through the rift. You used to have to do this twice. They cut it out because people probably complained that it was pointless. But use pretty much chapter 3 after you kill the combined guy as a leveling process. I'm probably 5 to 10 levels under where you probably want to be if you aren't familiar with the game, because you want to try to reach that next tier of abilities and skills and start getting into your character fully. This guy isn't that annoying until his second phase. The most annoying part of this guy is actually the little things he spawns, which shoot void damage at you. He tries to drop stuff on your head, little explodey things, and these little balls that shoot the void beams. Do take them out because they do stack up and get very annoying. He has a little tantrum, tries to slap things, don't want to stand in the things that are there for a long time, and then he'll try to drop things on you throughout the fight like that. Anything that gives you a time to get out of it does more damage. And that is the fight for chapter 3. You go to the Imperial area to get into chapter 4. Hit all those buttons, support the channel if you want with super thanks under the video, but I'll catch you next time and goodbye.